My policies most closely resemble what we see in the UK, in Norway, in Finland, in Sweden.
Freshman progressive Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez on 60 Minutes, telling America her model of socialism comes not from Venezuela, Cuba, or the Soviet Union. Instead, she's looking at Nordic countries for her socialist ideals. But a documentary that aired on PBS late last fall, produced and hosted by a Swede, casts doubt on the narrative. Check it out.
Low-income earners in Sweden pay a lot more than low-income earners in America. So despite the fact that Sweden looks like sort of a socialist country which taxes the rich exorbitantly high, the truth is the opposite.
The success of Nordic countries is not because of big government. It is not. The story is free markets really work, and Americans need to understand this.
So Sweden is not the idealistic socialist state many Americans think it is.
Time now for tonight's Power Panel. The former press secretary of the Democratic Policy and Communications Committee, Rochelle Ritchie, and Fox News contributors Charlie Hurt and Lawrence Jones. Welcome to all of you.
Good to be with you, Shannon.
Hi, Shannon.
Okay, so this is really interesting because the executive editor of this documentary and the gentleman who was talking there about Sweden, he actually, I read an interesting piece that he goes through and says they had a disaster kind of with socialism, people fleeing the country, the growth cut in half, all kinds of businesses falling apart. At one point, there was an income tax rate in excess of 100% of your income. I'm not really sure how that works. But Lawrence, he said, ultimately, they abandoned most of those policies, and now they have things like private vouchers for school. They've rolled out regulations. They've done a lot of things that are not very socialist.
Yeah, a lot of things that conservatives and libertarians are advocating for. Here's the real deal. I think Ocasio-Cortez, she has all these policy choices, but I don't think she does much research. I don't think she does much reading to figure out what she really believes. I think she kind of said in the 60 Minutes interview that it's really not about the policy, it's about the emotions of things, how you feel about it. And really, I don't need the specifics. And I think right now you're seeing her getting hammered every single interview because she just doesn't know what she really believes.
Okay, and to your point, I want to play a little bit where she was confronted by Anderson Cooper about things that she hasn't gotten right. And trust me, we all get things wrong. But here was her response on that.
I would argue that they're missing the forest for the trees. I think that there's a lot of people more concerned about being precisely, factually, and semantically correct than about being morally right.
Rochelle, Charlie's about to lose it, but I'm coming to you next and save Charlie for that. But this is the exact kind of thing that the left rips on the president about all the time, that he exaggerates, that he's not factually correct. And yet she says it seems like the ends justifies the means in her consideration, that if I'm trying to make my point and get to, you know, the place that I want to get to, let's not get too technical about the facts.
Well, Shannon, I will not make excuses for the president, nor am I going to make excuses for Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez. Facts do matter, and she needs to get it right. That's just the bottom line. And so I don't think that it's right for her to be able to say, well, you know, my morals matter more to me than my statistics, because quite frankly, if you are a member of Congress, you have to get it right. You are making policy decisions that are going to impact all Americans, not just Democrats, but all Americans. So if you have not fully done your research, if you have not fully vetted these statistics and this information, and then you go before Congress to put forth a bill that has not been properly vetted, how can we trust our elected officials? So she has to get it right. I know people like to say she's the youngest member of Congress and all of that, but now she's in the big leagues. And when you're on the Hill, you get it right.
Okay, I want to read something from Town Hall. Matt Vespa writes this. He says, conservatives, by talking about Ocasio-Cortez so much, he says they're falling into a similar trap liberals fell into with Trump, attacking everything. Don't do it. That only adds more press coverage. Let the liberals keep making that mistake. Charlie?
Well, so, you know, I kind of think that actually Cortez is sort of providing somewhat of a nice service here. For a long time, you know, the Soviet Union has been gone, and they provide that country, that empire provided a wonderful opportunity for us to understand exactly how terrible socialism is. It robs people of their wealth, it destroys lives, and it kills a lot of people. There's no doubt in my mind that, as Lawrence said, that Cortez, this comes from a very positive place. She has very positive emotions and wants everybody to be happy and living in Sweden or Norway or whatever. But the problem here is that actually socialism has actually been employed by despots for the past 100 years, and it's a way of controlling people and destroying people's lives. And that's the thing that's kind of frightening. But I don't doubt her intentions. I imagine her intentions are very, very, very good. But it's not the little things that she gets wrong. It's the big picture that she gets wrong. If she thinks that it's good and just and fair to take 70% from somebody of what somebody has earned and give it to somebody who hasn't worked, that's not a little thing. That's a big picture thing.
I wouldn't underestimate her, though.
Well,
despite her having so much policy, things that are just false. Remember that there is something to that town hall piece. The president wasn't big on policy, but he had the ability to connect with people, and I think that's one of her strengths. I think at the end of the day, though, she's had so many slips around the road that I think she's going to lose support within her own party, even those progressives that want to support her.
And Rochelle,
Shannon, can I add to that? Okay.
Yeah, but let me play a little something, and I want to ask you about that, because there's been a lot of chatter here on the Hill that the Democrat leadership is not thrilled with her because they feel like she's getting a lot of headlines that are not necessarily positive. Here's what Whoopi Goldberg, not a known conservative, had to say today.
I just feel like, you don't have to be born into it. You don't have to know it when you step out. But before you start pooping on people and what they've done, you got to do something too.
Rochelle?
Well said. I mean, I completely agree. On the socialism factor, socialism is not school vouchers. Socialism is not privatizing Social Security, and socialism is not having minimum wage laws, all of which is what Sweden has. And so Ocasio-Cortez, however, does have some policies that do align with Sweden when it comes to free health care and free education. So when I looked at Sweden, I said, they're not a socialist country. They're almost like capitalism or something. Like they've kind of found a way to make both of them work together. And as your other guest was saying, as far as the 70%, the 70% tax rate that she wants to impose on income tax is for the Green New Deal. In Sweden, they use that tax to fund that free education, that free health care. And so that's what I have a problem with is, okay, if we're going to do the free health care, the free education, then where are you going to get that money from if you're taking 70% to put towards the Green New Deal?
That's the question that comes up so much. Now, Charlie, the way that the Democrats are handling the Green New Deal is giving them a committee that has no power to pass legislation or subpoena anyone, and they say, here you go, here's your committee.
Yeah, and I imagine, obviously Nancy Pelosi is very effective at managing her own caucus, as we're seeing with her taking the gavel yet again after having lost.
She voted for Nancy, by the way, which she said she wasn't going to do.
I didn't think she was going to.
Exactly. But so I think that's probably, I can only imagine what a nightmare she is for people like Nancy Pelosi, trying to keep them together and trying to basically keep, we've started to get real indications from leadership that they don't want to go on this impeachment binge, but good luck with that.
But is she really a nightmare when she's voting for the speaker? Still,
no, I think she's probably going to go along with most of what the party wants to accomplish. But in the meantime, they're going to have to listen to what she has to say because she's become so popular.
Yep.
I think she has a lot to learn at this point. I think her intentions are, she means well, but I just think she has a lot to learn. And I think that once she humbles herself a little bit, she'll be a strong leader.
That's what Whoopi thinks, too. All right, gang. Thank you so much for being on our Power Panel tonight. Great to have you.
Thank you.